How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys have not already. Also, please do me the biggest favor of all. Hit the bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on the channel. If you guys have subscribed, thank you guys so much for doing so. I hope that you guys, of course, are all having a great Halloween season. I hope you guys are looking forward to a great Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we're going to be talking about, really quickly, positives and negatives, talking about the movie Dune from 2021. And I will be calling this movie Dune Part 1 because if you guys decide to go watch this in theaters or on HBO Max, it clearly says at the very beginning of the film, the title is Dune Part 1 because this is based off the first Dune book, and obviously the movie is over 2.5 hours long, so it's almost like a Lord of the Rings epic. And there is going to be hopefully a part 2 if this movie does really well at the box office. I don't want to stress this completely at the very beginning of this review. Go see this movie in the theaters if you guys can to support this film, because if you are just watching it on HBO Max, that's not where the money talks. The money talks at the theater, and I really want there to be a Dune Part 2 because unfortunately this does have a cliffhanger. There's a lot of plot threads and character arcs and story arcs that just are not resolved in this movie whatsoever. There's a lot that is left out, and there's a lot left to come. And I can say for a fact this is a must watch. This is a must buy 100%. The action in here is great. The acting in here is phenomenal. A lot of people have been comparing this film to Star Wars and to Lord of the Rings, and is this the next epic film of that nature? Yes. There are a few issues though that didn't translate well, and obviously translating the Dune books to film is always and always has been and always will be a very difficult task because of what is in the books is really complicated to translate to the big screen or into a TV show. What they did do, I thought, was really well. There's just a couple minor nitpicks I do want to point out. First of all, though, this film is so much better than the 1984 version. So if you've seen it and you're like, oh, I don't want to see another trash shoot version of Dune, this film is much more faithful as an adaptation to the Dune books, especially the first one. If you guys don't know what Dune is about, this film, without going into too many things as spoilers, deals with visions, prophecy, family, love, power, revenge, trust, and the customs of people. It's basically this story of this character named Paul, and he's part of House Atreides, and his family and an entire army of planet go to this planet Arrakis to try to mine this thing called spice, which is used for interstellar travel, and Game of Thrones conflict of sorts ensues. If you like Lord of the Rings, you like Star Wars, you like sci-fi, space opera type of things, you're going to love this film. The special effects in this movie are just 11 out of 10. They are fantastic, fabulous, outstanding. Like I said, the action, the drama, and especially the soundtrack from Hans Zimmer is fantastic. Now, let's talk about a couple things that negatively hit this film. First of all, Act 3 kind of feels slow. Like, you can tell when Act 2 and Act 3 begin and end. I think it has to deal with the fact that some of the characters just feel one note, and when you get to the end of the second act and the beginning of the third act, there's this major battle scene, and it just, when the battle concludes and you have all these people character-wise being killed off, because some of the characters are one-noted and they have so little development when it comes to a character arc, that when they're killed off, they're kind of killed off screen, and when they are killed off, there's no impact and there's no emotion, because this film is trying to cram so much world building, character building, and information that there's no emotion. You're just along for a roller coaster of a ride. I guess the best way to describe it would be Blade Runner 2049, in the sense that yes, everything looks groundbreaking special effect wise, and there's things happening, but when something major happens, because the film hasn't gotten you invested in the characters themselves, when they do something drastic or they do die, you as an audience member are just emotionally blank. Like there's several characters that are really important when they get killed off, and I didn't feel any weight. I didn't feel any emotion when they did die. And I think that leads into the fact that a lot of people are not going to be pleased with this film. Obviously, this film is not going to please everybody. I've already had a lot of people, even before I did this review, complaining that they thought this movie was extremely slow and boring. And I think that because of that, I want to address something, is that go in with lower expectations. Like, I think the trailers kind of made it where this is some sort of like Star Wars, it's only on Tatooine kind of adventure. And this film isn't like that. It's not like Star Wars. It's not like Lord of the Rings. It obviously has some key elements thrown in there. But this was done, the books were written before Lord of the Rings and before Star Wars. So, if anything, those types of franchises took elements from Dune and made it into their own. But Dune is something where you need to go in with a different set of expectations. Don't go in thinking this is some sort of shoot 'em up, bang bang, constant Michael Bay explosions happening, laser going off, spaceship battles. This film isn't a action adventure thrill ride. That's not what this movie is. And I think a big problem is that a lot of movies we get today is like that. We get a lot of thrillers, we get a lot of action adventure, explosions, and ooh, look at all these amazing special effects and bombs and spaceship battles going on. We are, as a society, I think, conditioned to expect all that from our movies. Dune does not do that. It is nothing like those things. Go in with expectations where there are no large action sequences. There are no gigantic space battles constantly happening. There are some, but that happens towards like the later half of Act 2 and the beginning of Act 3. If you are expecting large action sequences and space battles and lightsabers or magical wand fights and all that stuff that unfortunately we've come to know in the past 10 to 20 years, that happens later on. That happens in part 2. This film lays the groundwork of all these different planetary factions, the rules, the worlds, who is on whose side, why people are doing what they're doing, what they're believing in, the technology, the atmosphere, the reasons behind why certain people are doing certain things. This film is a film where it's establishing the Dune lore, and then towards like last 30 to 50 minutes of the film, then it starts chugging along with action and depth. And I think that when and if part 2 does actually happen, that is when the major hand-to-hand combat stuff is going to happen. That's when the major space battles are going to happen. And they will happen if and when part 2 does come out. But this film is more like Blade Runner 2049. This film focuses on key characters, especially Paul, the atmosphere and story, and it doesn't do so much with explosions and battles and stuff like that. It has a couple of things like that. I think a big problem is that that is what the trailer sold a lot of people on, is explosions and actions and characters. But this film is more of a space drama film, and I think you need to go in watching this movie with that expectation. Go in with an expectation that this is a sci-fi drama movie. This is not a sci-fi action adventure. And I think because of that, a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's not what I wanted to see. That's not what I expected. But that's what Dune is. Dune is not Star Wars. Dune is not Lord of the Rings. Dune is Dune. And if you don't like that type of film where it's taking time to build characters and worlds and plot threads, then this movie isn't for you. And that is perfectly okay and perfectly fine and acceptable. This film is not going to please everybody. And I think people are going to have to understand that this is not going to be something that everyone's going to say, wow, this was an amazing movie. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be everyone's flavor of entertainment. So if you don't like it, don't bash the movie itself for it being bad as a film. Understand that this film is clearly not for everybody. And if you don't like it, go watch Star Wars, go watch Lord of the Rings or something else that's more action-packed. This film is not an action movie. So, all right, I'm going to get off that high horse. I just had to bring that up because there's a lot of people that have been saying that this is supposed to be an action film and it's not. So, overall, guys, even with a couple negative things that I have discussed, I think this film is a must-watch in theaters. Highly encourage you guys, go see it in the theaters. So Hollywood recognizes that we do want a part 2. I really want a part 2. And I think what'll be cool is that if they do a part 2, that when you do purchase them, physical, digital, or whatever, that you can watch part 1 and then watch part 2 back to back, and it'll be a 5-hour epic, story. Part 1, as it stands right now, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. So go watch it, have lower expectations, have a different set of expectations, and I think you guys will enjoy it. If you guys didn't, let me know in the comment section why or why not. And if you guys did, let me know why did you. So 8.5 for Dune Part 1 from 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Bye, guys.